Hello everyone, just down here in the thinking room. I run a pair of matched Dillon 550s, one with large primer and one with small primer. Right now the small primer one has been getting the big workout, what with all that 223 and 9mm that I'm processing right now. And the large one gets used for a lot of other ones, like my 6.5 Grumble, the large primer Grendel that I make from 762 by 39, swage it down and trim it up to work as the Grendel, and 308 and all the rest of stuff like that. But for smaller production runs, I use RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme, and in my other videos you've seen it being used. Slow and Steady does a trick. It's the first press that I bought. I bought it brand new, and I have no complaints other than that priming bar bolt issue. Not going there. I just use a hand primer nowadays. For anybody who's getting into reloading, I'd look around for a complete used press. It wouldn't matter the color, which, you know, Hornady, Lee, RCBS, Dillon, and there's a whole bunch of other ones out there. But single stage, I ran a single stage alone for about 3 years, and Slow and Steady does the race on those things. You know, you come down, you do around 15-20 minutes of prep. You know, you knock out primers and you walk away. You come in next day and you put primers in, and the next day you put together a half hour where you pour charges and you load them. You put the bullets on top, seat them. Things that I would recommend along with a press: a good scale, a set of calipers, digital calipers, because you're going to need those to figure out case length and everything like that. And if you're so inclined, I always get myself a case gauge, and that ensures that when I'm processing my brass, it'll fit back into a rifle, because there's a whole lot of people use my ammo, so there's mixed rifles throughout that are using it, like the 223, my 308, stuff like that. Multiple people, hey, can I try that loadout? And I'll run them up a ladder test and let them use it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, press, scales, calipers. Eventually you're going to need some way to trim your brass and to clean your brass. I use a Frankfurt Arsenal rotary tumbler, but this is kind of break the bank type of budget if you're buying it all at once. Vibratory tumbler is fairly cheap, and then you can get the media at Princess Auto or Harbor Freight. It's cob media or crushed walnut media will be your two choices. Unless you know somebody who's into geology and rock tumbling, and then their tumbler is perfectly suited for tumbling brass. I've seen some guys where they sneak into a laundromat and put a bunch of cases into a sock and make sure it's nice and tight, and tosses it into a load of laundry, and it washes, not saying nothing, and it cleans up the brass. But I'd make sure I'd have the primers punched before you do that to make sure you get clean pockets. Lots of people don't think it's all that much about the pockets do much, but they'll make sure you can seat your primers a lot easier if they're actually clean. Secondary tools will be primer pocket reamers, cleaners, lubrication. You can do lubrication. You can DIY it. Liquid lanolin and 99% rubbing alcohol in a squirt bottle, mixed at about 12 to 1, 10 to 1, depends on who you're listening to. I've mixed mine down to 15 to 1, 15 parts of rubbing alcohol to 1 part of lanolin, and it helps it clean off. But once you go and use that method to lube them, you're going to have to wash your cases again, because that stuff will stick to the cases and will pick up dirt. And yeah, so there's that to consider. So primer or press, scales, dyes. Yeah, it's slow and steady. I would recommend looking through whatever state you're in. Probably has some sort of local sale for, web page for stuff being sold. I'd look through there for used equipment, as long as it's complete. Because if it's missing an arm or something, yeah, not really worth it. But you should be able to find yourself a decent press for relatively inexpensive, and start picking up stuff nickel and dime. A hand primer tool, because your used press may not come with one. For a while they weren't fitted to presses, but they are now. That goes from there. So hand primer. I don't recommend the Lee one unless it's too much plastic in the gears. A friend of mine had one. He went and complained his broke, so he went off and sent a letter into Lee, and he got the plastic part, but it turned around about 2 weeks later, it failed, and well, he's gone out and bought himself I think it's a Franklin. I'm not sure. Franklin is a high-end name. It's good equipment that's accessible on the open market, as opposed to some of the really high-end stuff. But yeah, just go out there and look around on the used market. I've discussed most of the stuff that you'll need in my reloading playlist, and how I've done some case conversions from one caliber to another. 300 Savage from 308. You can do it from 30-06, but that's a lot of material to be used. I've made my 6.5 Grendel from 7.62 by 39. You can make 270 from odd 6. It goes on. But yeah, a good single stage press will do you good, and you don't need a new one. You don't need a new one. Just make sure it's well cared for. Tear it apart, lube it up, put it together. Make sure you use the right type of lube in the right sort of spot so you don't collect any more contaminant. The dust, the powder, stuff like that. Have a good one. Like, subscribe, and comment.